Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope you slept well. There is lots to talk about this morning in terms of the IELTS paper. As you know, this stream is on IELTS, and it's an examination that many people do because they are getting ready for university or they are moving to another country. So it's a difficult exam because it's different from other exams where you can choose your level. So in the IELTS exam, it's easy, medium or difficult altogether. I'll repeat that in Italian. Buongiorno a tutti. I hope you're doing well. State bene. Siete qua per IELTS, che esame un po' più difficile perché a differenza degli altri esami che possono essere fatti secondo livello, per esempio First Certificate è B2 o CAT è A2, IELTS sono tutti livelli in uno, quindi parte da molto facile o facile e arriva fino a C2, che sarebbe il livello più alto. Le domande sono abbastanza complicate. Spero che il mic funziona bene stamattina. Hello. So let's talk about the IELTS exam. Parliamo di esame IELTS. In IELTS there are 4 papers: listening, reading, writing and speaking. So today we are talking about the listening paper. Oggi parliamo di listening. So in listening there are 4 different conversations, and these conversations are all done by mother tongue speakers. Sono 4 conversazioni o monologhi nel listening e sono tutti da madrelingua. So you have the first part where there is a conversation. So in part 1 you have conversation. Part 2 monologue. Part 3 conversation. Part 4 monologue. So part 1 is a conversation between 2 or 3 people, and normally it's a conversation from daily context. Quindi parte 1, conversazione è da un contesto di tutti i giorni. For example, you have a form to fill in, a form like a modulo. Form è un modulo, dovete compilare un modulo. You have a form, so you listen to a conversation between 2 people. For example, tourist office and a tourist. Perhaps a college or a gym and a person who wants to become a member. So un'università, una scuola, un palestra e una persona che ne vuole fare parte. Data sheet, for example, you need to fill in some data. Dovete compilare un po' di dati. Theaters and cinemas. So perhaps you listen to a phone conversation between a person who wants to know the ticket price or the timing and the theater or the cinema. And then you have sometimes you get conversations between people phoning the travel agencies, agenzia di viaggio. So they call the travel agency and they say, hello, my name is whatever, I'd like to know more about my ticket. These are the contexts. Questi sono diversi contesti per la parte 1, for the part 1. So the kind of information that you need to fill in are name, surname, date of birth, so different kinds of dates, but date of birth, names of places, so it could be car park, restaurant, shopping center, college ground, library, main square, different names of common places. Questi possono essere nomi dei posti comuni, per esempio piazza o via o square, name of the street. Also, dates of different kinds. For example, 1st of February, 13th of March, 27th of October, and the kind of and also different types of tags, anche diversi tipi di tag, per esempio full time, part time. There might be an option, for example, the kind of course interested in. So you have this sentence, the kind of course interested in, and you write down full-time or part-time because they're saying it in the conversation. And they might mention both, but then the person will choose one kind of conversation, and so you will need to understand and choose the right type. So there might be an option between types of courses: evening course, morning course, full-time course, 1 week course, 1 month course. My mic is playing up. I hope you can hear me. If you can, just let me know. And then there are different types of tickets. For example, if you are traveling by train, there could be like a one-way ticket or a return ticket. So you're either traveling one way, like you're going from A to B, or return ticket, you're going to A to B and B to A. And so these are all different types of information which are present in the part 1 of the listening paper. Queste sono le informazioni della parte listening di IELTS exam. I think the IELTS exam actually is interesting because you listen only once, and that's different from other exams. L'esame IELTS è diverso perché si ascolta una volta sola, come nella vita, non si ascoltano 2 volte. Quindi è interessante e può essere anche difficile. So, what is the best way to prepare for this type of exam? Okay, so you listen only once. So, in my opinion, the best thing to do is to practice, number 1, of course, but also practice retaining information. So, for example, if I tell you a name of a street, or if I tell you a date, or if I ask you to spell your name, you need to memorize that information, at least for a short period. Quindi se vi dico una data o spelling di un nome, dovete per un breve lasso di tempo memorizzare questa informazione. For example, if somebody says to you something like DAVID, it's the spelling of a name. So try to memorize the sound more than the letters. Don't try to decipher the letters in your head. Is it an A? Is it an E? Just memorize the sound. So if somebody says to you DAVID, memorize the sound. It's DAVID, DAVID, and then you can try to repeat it in your head and decipher the letters. because it's like a little recording machine, come un registratore nella testa. Registrate e ripetete. So that's the way to do it. A difficult name like, sorry, there's another name. Practice this name. L-E-S-L-E-Y. So memorize this for a second. L-E-S-L-E-Y. And then write it down. And then I'll tell you the word. So the word is Leslie, and is L-E-S is of course L-E, the letter E for elephant, S for sugar, L-E-Y, Y is the last letter, which is the second last letter of the alphabet, Y for yellow. So that's one way of dealing with this problem, you know, è un modo per affrontare questo problema. Ricordatevi il suono e poi ripetete facendo spelling. Like this, you have a better chance, in my opinion. Avete una possibilità in più. The other thing that you should do, l'altra cosa che dovete fare, the other thing you should do is just practice with this kind of activity where you have to fill in forms, and so you can do perhaps some online courses. We have an online course. I'll leave the description. I'll leave the details in the description, where you can listen to a word and write it down, and then check whether you understand it. Make sure your vowels are absolutely spot on, you know, your A's, your E's, your I's, your O's, etc. You know the difference between an E and an I and a Y, because in English they can be very confusing, and especially if you're talking to somebody whose mother tongue, they will speak fast and they will expect you to understand. Se I vocali sono importanti, se parlate con un madrelingua parlerà abbastanza veloce e cercherà e penserà che voi capite subito. This is the way it is. È così. Even if you're in your country, you talk to a foreigner and you expect them to understand because you think it's natural. Se anche nel vostro paese voi parlate con uno straniero, pensate che lui capirà. So this is part one of the exam. Now remember, the part one is the easiest. Next one we will talk about part two. Part one is the easiest, so you shouldn't be making any mistakes. Non dovete fare errori. If this is the easiest, can you imagine the hard ones? The hard ones are hard, really hard. And many advanced students often find it difficult to do this part, especially because of the spelling, the dates, the times, and it's important to practice these because you think you know, but you know you haven't practiced, and that's where it gets really hard. So that is the part one. Let me know if you found this video useful. So over the next few weeks we'll be doing all different parts of the IELTS exam, including reading, writing and speaking, and join us in the morning shows. They might be on different times, but the link will be on the channel, and I hope you have a great morning. Take care for now, and see you in the next one.